Morning, grade 7 students. This is day 32, page 430, numbers 3 through 23, the odds. Before we get started, a couple things I want to put into your brain, hopefully. These are actually reminders of things we've said in the past, but they're very often things that 7th graders forget. First thing, look up here. The word less and the phrase less than, do you remember they have different meanings? On the board I have written 10 less 2 and I have written 10 less than 2. And in the past you have been told that we solve these two expressions differently. This one right here really means 10 minus 2 and it gives us an answer of 8. 10 less 2. In other words, I have 10 objects. Maybe Susie has 10 less 2 objects. In other words, she has a smaller amount than I do. She has 8 objects. I have 10 objects. But the phrase less than means something else. If you see 10 less than 2, that really means the second number minus the first number, which gives us an answer of -8. So please be careful about that because that's going to play a big role in some of the problems today. If you see the phrase less, the two numbers do not get flipped. But if you see the phrase less than, the two numbers get flipped. A couple of other things. The word of, very often in this assignment, is going to mean multiplication. So if somebody says 1/3 of 12, what they mean is 1/3 times 12, and 1/3 times 12 is 4. Finally, the word is very often in mathematics the equal sign. So keep those things in mind. In a few seconds, pause this video and read through pages 478, 479, and then we'll work through a bunch of example problems. Go ahead and pause now. Okay, welcome back. Our first problem is up here on the board. It says 3 more than half a number is 15. Try not to get so overwhelmed by the entire expression that's up here on the board, the mathematical sentence rather. Take it one bit at a time. Let's pick on some things, like right here, that word is. What's that? That's going to be our equal sign. Remember we just talked about that? Here's our equal sign. What about more than? Think about that phrase. That's a plus sign, isn't it? If somebody says to you, 6 more than 2, they're talking about the number 8, aren't they? 6 more than 2. So what we've got here is 3 plus something. And then it says half a number. Half a number. Isn't another way of saying that? Half of a number? And of means multiplication. Look at what I do here. Half times a number. The number is unknown to us, so let's make it an m for an unknown variable. We now have a mathematical problem that can be solved, can't we? If I write it over here, 3 plus 1/2 times m equals 5, that is something we can solve. Let's solve it. We need to get m by itself. It's attached to 1/2 and 3. We need to get rid of the 3 first. Do you remember how to do that? We're going to do the opposite of adding. We're going to subtract 3 to both sides. And we get 2 and 1/2 m being left over there. 1/2 of what number is 2? How do we get rid of the 1/2? It's attached by multiplication, right? So let's do the opposite of multiplying. Let's divide both sides by 1/2. And when we do that, over here we get m, but over here, division is what? Division is multiplication by the reciprocal of the second number, right? And in this case, m ends up being 4. Okay, done with that problem. Let's move on to the second one that's up here on the board. 19 is 2 more than 5 times a number. Okay, remember, take it bit by bit. Hey, here's the equal sign right here. Is our equal sign. We can write 19 as an Arabic number. Oh, here's that phrase more than again. So it's got to be 2 plus, right? 2 more than 2 plus. And what are we going to do with 5 times a number? How about 5 times n? So we've got 19 equals 2 plus 5n. Okay, let's rewrite that over here. And let's actually solve it. Let's get it on the screen. Oh, we got to get n by itself. It's attached to a 5 and it's attached to a 2. Which one do we get rid of first? We get rid of the 2 first. What's the opposite of adding 2? The opposite of adding 2 is subtracting 2. And we get 17 equaling 5n. How do we get rid of the 5? We do the opposite of multiplying by 5, which is dividing by 5. And we do it to both sides, and we get n equaling this. Now, this realistically could be the answer. But we could also change it into a mixed number. We could also change it into a decimal. What's the mixed numbered form of this? 17 divided by 5 is 3 2/5. That would be an acceptable answer. Or the decimal version 3.4. Any of those would be the value of n. Okay, let's move on to the next problem. 8 less than. Uh-oh. See that? See that? Less than. 8 less than twice a number is 35. Remember what we said about less than? With less than, we flip the numbers. With less, we do not flip the numbers. Okay. Over here, here's our equal sign, right? There's our There's our equal sign, equals 35. Let's draw a cute little arrow down. There we go. So what we got left? We're going to have to take this and flip them, right? How do we write twice a number? How about 2 times n? Twice a number minus 8 equals this negative 35. Twice a number, 8 less than twice a number. Twice a number minus 8 equals negative 35. Okay, how do we solve this? Is that on the screen? Yep, it's on the screen. So 2n minus 8 equals negative 35. We're going to have to get rid of the 2 and the 8. Which one do we get rid of first? Well, we got to get rid of the 8. What's the opposite of subtracting 8? Well, we're going to add 8 to both sides. Oops, there we go. And over here we get 2n. Over here, what do we get here? That's negative 27, isn't it? Yep, negative 27. Now we got to divide both sides by 2, right? To get n by itself. And what would that equal? Well, you could write it as n equals negative 27 over 2. That is a possible answer. But as a mixed number, is that showing up on the screen? Yep. That would be negative 13 1/2 or negative 13.5 if you decide to change it all the way to a decimal number. So that's the answer to that particular problem. Oh, let's see. How about the next one? Two more than 1/3 of a number is 6. 2 more than 1/3 of a number is 6. How about 2 more than? How would you write that? Wouldn't that be 2 plus? If somebody says 2 more than 6, well, what is 2 more than 6? 8, because 2 plus 6 is 8. This is an addition problem. And then we've got 1/3 of a number right here. How would we write that? Remember, of is multiplication, so how about 1/3 n? And then we've got is, right? Is our equal sign, and 6. So there's our problem we're going to solve. N is attached to 1/3 by multiplication. It's attached to the 2 by addition. Which one do we get rid of first? We're going to have to get rid of the 2 first, I think. Let's subtract 2 from both sides. We get 4 equaling 1/3 n. And then, what's the opposite of multiplying by 1/3? We're going to have to divide by 1/3 on both sides of the equation. And that gives us n here division is really multiplication by the reciprocal of the second number? Or in other words, our end value is 12. Okay? Any questions about that one? Well, of course, you can't ask any because we're not present amongst each other. I have a whole bunch of other problems here. I hope you can read these, but I'm not confident of that. That print looks awfully small. The first one says, 4 more than twice a number is 8. Maybe I should just write them out, I suppose. 4 more than twice a number is 8. Okay. And let's back up the screen. There we go. You can see that, I think. Good. 4 more than twice a number is 8. How are we going to fix that? Well, that more than, that's a plus sign, right? 4 plus. Here's our equal sign right here, right? Equals the 8. What are we going to do with twice a number? How about 2 times x? Twice a number. Let's get this out of the way. Now let's solve. What do we get rid of first? I think we got to get rid of the 4 first because it's attached by addition. We always get rid of the addition or subtraction before getting rid of multiplication. So I'm going to rewrite this as minusing 4 from both sides of the equation, right? So I get 2x equaling 4, and you could probably do that in your head, right? Divide both sides by 2, and x is equal to 2. 4 more than twice a number is 8 becomes this, and our x value is 2. Okay, let's try another one off of this sheet. How about 5 less than twice a number is 7. 5 less than twice a number is 7. Can you see that one? Hopefully you can. It looks like you can. Okay, where's our equal sign? Right there, right? Here's our equal sign. And our 7 can be just turned into a 7. Less than. Remember what we said about that? We're going to be doing some flipping action because it says less than, right? With less, we don't flip. But with less than, we end up flipping some terms, right? What are we going to flip, though? Well, less than means the negative 5 has to be second. How are we going to write twice a number? Twice a number is 2 times x. So we've got 2 times x minus 5 equals 7. Now, let's get x by itself. It's attached to a 2 and a 5. We're going to get rid of the 5 first by adding 5 to both sides. And then we're going to divide both sides by 2 to get the x by itself. And x equals 6 in this particular case. How about one more problem here? Or 2, I don't know. How about this one? The difference between 5 times a number and 3 is 12. Now this one's kind of tricky, but it's not really that bad. What do you think of when you hear the word difference? If somebody says, what's the difference between 7 and 4? What is the difference between those two numbers? Well, that's a subtraction problem, isn't it? 7 minus 4 is 3. The difference between 7 and 4 is 3. So we know we're dealing with subtraction here. Subtraction of what? I don't know. But I do know there's an is and a 12 here, right? So somewhere at the end we've got equals 12, right? Equals 12. Now let's take a look at what we got left. 5 times a number, because we've already talked about this, right? And we've already talked about this. 5 times a number and 3. Oh. Do you see how there's 2 numbers being talked about there? 5 times a number and 3. 5 times a number and 3. The difference between 5 times a number and 3 is 12. How do we solve this? Well, got to get x by itself. Got to get rid of the 5 and got to get rid of the 3. Which one do we get rid of first? The 3. We always get rid of addition and subtraction first. So I'm going to write it like this. I'm going to add 3 to both sides. And all of a sudden it becomes easy. X has to be 3 because we divide both sides by 5 and x is 3. Okay? Let's do one more. How about 9 less than 6 times a number is negative 15. Okay. Do you see the equal sign and the negative 15 at the very end, right? So we know that's going to happen at the end. We've covered this part of it. Less than. That means flipping action, right? We got to flip things. 9 is going to go second, and the 6 times a number goes first, right? There's our equation. How do we get n by itself? Let's do the opposite of subtracting 9. Adding 9. And then let's simplify. And then let's do the opposite of multiplying by 6. Dividing by 6. And we get an n value equal to negative 1. Hopefully this makes sense to you. If not, you know my phone number, 517-242-3138. Please give me a call. Thank you and have a great day.